I'd been driving for hours along that lonely highway, chasing a horizon that never seemed to get closer. The sun was long gone, and a pale moon lit the wide skies. It was the kind of stretch where there were no houses, no towns, just an endless road cutting through dry land. By the time I spotted a rest stop sign, I felt a strange relief wash over me, even though I was the only car on the road for miles. My gas tank was half full, but my eyes were tired. Stopping for a few minutes sounded like the perfect plan. The exit ramp curved gently. Old streetlights illuminated a small rest area with a few parking spaces, a couple of benches, and a single building housing restrooms. To one side, I saw a vending machine standing under a flickering lamp. It felt odd how everything else was dark, yet that vending machine glowed in short, fitful bursts of light. I pulled into a parking slot, turned off my engine, and leaned back in my seat for a moment. The quiet out here was different from city quiet. No hum of traffic in the distance, no buzz of neon signs, just a deep, heavy silence broken only by the faint whisper of wind brushing across the asphalt. I stepped out of the car, stretching legs cramped from driving too long. That was when I first noticed the machine flicker on, then off again. It wasn't constant. It was as if something inside tried to power up but kept failing. Part of me thought it might be broken, and that the flicker was just normal for old machines. But then, in one of its quick bursts of light, I saw something on its digital display. A jumble of letters that strangely resembled my first name. It disappeared so fast I thought I was imagining it. I walked closer, feeling an uneasy flutter in my stomach. The machine was old, with faded stickers on the sides showing the brand. A single overhead lamp shone down, but it flickered in the same rhythm as the machine's internal lights, like they were connected. For a moment, the screen lit up again, and I saw scrambled letters. They flickered in a pattern, like they were rearranging themselves. My breath caught. It truly looked like an anagram of my name, L-E-A. My name is Ella, spelled E-L-L-A, and there it was, half-formed in random sequences. Then it vanished, replaced by a blank, glowing surface. A chill danced along my arms, though the night wasn't especially cold. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe my eyes were tired, or I was seeing what I expected to see. The machine took coins, no bills. But as I fiddled in my pocket for change, it let out a small beep. The screen turned black. I gave the coin slot a push with my finger. Nothing happened. So I stepped back, telling myself to stop acting jumpy. It was only a vending machine. Still, the hair on my neck wouldn't lie flat. The rest stop building was maybe 20 steps away. I made my way over, footsteps echoing on the concrete. Inside, stale air and a faint smell of chemicals greeted me. One flickering fluorescent bulb cast weak light, revealing two doors, men and women. The place had one of those old hand dryers, a small sink, and a cracked mirror. I used the restroom quickly, but felt a strange pull like something was urging me to hurry and leave. The quiet inside was unnerving, so I rushed back out. Stepping outside, I heard a rustling sound behind me. My heart pounded as I glanced over my shoulder, but the door I had come through was still shut. Wind, I thought. Must have been the wind. Yet it carried a hushed rustle, almost like a whisper. Once I got out into the open, I paused a second time, scanning my surroundings. The rest stop looked exactly as before. Empty parking lot, the single building, the vending machine under the twitching lamp. But now there was a slow beep coming from the machine, like a heartbeat. Walking cautiously, I approached it again. The screen was still blank, but the beep repeated every few seconds. I couldn't help but think it resembled a coded signal. I felt silly, yet I couldn't ignore how it put me on edge. I tapped the glass. "Hello?" I muttered, feeling ridiculous. My voice sounded small and hollow in the quiet. The beep stopped. The screen lit up with a short burst, revealing letters once more. This time they formed E-L-L, and then fizzled out again. A cold knot formed in my gut, confusion mixing with worry. How could the machine possibly display my name, even if scrambled? Could it be a malfunction that included random letters? My mind raced with possibilities, but none made much sense. Either I was losing it, or something about this place was deeply wrong. I glanced around, searching for any sign of a security camera or a person controlling the machine. Nothing. Just that single lamp, the emptiness of the lot, and the wide stretch of highway beyond. I told myself I needed a moment to calm down. My phone, though, had no signal out here. Typical in desert or rural areas, but it still made me feel more isolated. Taking a deep breath, I sat on a nearby bench. Immediately, I noticed a small carving in the wood. It said, "They know." The letters were jagged, as if scratched in a hurry. I let out a shaky laugh. Probably just a joke someone left behind. Still, I found myself staring at it, heart uneasy. I tried looking at the stars, letting the cool night air fill my lungs, but my thoughts kept returning to the bizarre flickers. Finally, I decided to check the inside of the vending machine. Maybe there'd be a service phone number or some explanation printed on a tag. Sometimes public machines have a helpline number. So I grabbed my phone's flashlight and walked around to the back of the machine. The back panel was solid metal, locked tight. I leaned in, noticing a small gap near the top where wires ran inside. The metal was warm to the touch, which was strange because everything else was quite cool. Then, out of nowhere, came a gentle hum like the machine was breathing. Suddenly, the screen lit up again, so bright I could see the glow from behind. I dashed around to the front. This time, the letters clearly spelled Ella with a flickering question mark, as if the machine was asking me something. My stomach dropped into my shoes. I stared, my mouth dry. No matter how exhausted I was, this felt much too real to be a hallucination. My name on a vending machine screen, in the middle of nowhere, with no one around. It beeped twice more, and each beep sounded question-like, gentle but pressing. I actually felt like something was communicating with me. My mind told me to run, get in the car, drive away, and never look back. My curiosity, though, made me step closer. "Yes?" I answered softly, half expecting the machine to speak in return. At first, nothing happened. Then the text slowly shifted, the letters rearranging themselves. Hell? Then more flickers, and it changed to help? My whole body tensed. This made no sense, but I couldn't ignore the word forming right in front of my eyes. Help. I realized I was shaking, my breath coming in shudders. I whispered, "Who are you?" My voice echoed in the emptiness. No response. The machine's light died again, plunging that corner of the rest stop into darkness. The overhead lamp sputtered, throwing sparks, and then winked out. I stood there in the near black, heart pounding. Only moonlight remained, giving everything a ghostly glow. I backed away, stumbling toward my car. The sense of being watched clawed at my nerves. My only plan was to leave, to put miles between myself and this place. But as I fumbled for my keys, the overhead lamp blinked back to life just for an instant. Enough for me to see a shape near the rest stop structure. A dark, human-like figure standing at the far side of the brick building. I froze. The figure didn't move. The lamp flickered out again, returning everything to darkness. Fear rattled my entire body. Clutching my keys, I thought, "Get in the car." Drive thought, but I felt pinned in place. I forced myself to glance that way again, using my phone's flashlight. Nobody was there. The relief, if it was relief, was brief. Maybe I just couldn't see them. I pressed the unlock button on my key fob. My car beeped, lights blinking. That beep echoed strangely off the concrete, making me jump. Finally, I found the will to run. I tore open the driver's door, threw my stuff on the passenger seat, and slid in behind the wheel. The engine coughed to life. My headlights burst on, illuminating the empty lot. A wave of gratitude swept through me. All I had to do was step on the gas. But right before I shifted into gear, I caught sight of the vending machine screen again. My headlights angled toward it. The letters were shining bright as day, forming a single word. Wait. I swallowed, feeling torn. This is madness, I whispered to myself. Who or what wants me to wait? My foot hovered over the gas pedal. Something in my gut. A weird compassion or curiosity wouldn't let me leave. Against all logic, I found myself stepping back out, my knees shaking. I approached with caution, letting the car headlights guide me. The machine's beep sounded again, and the screen displayed "Please," almost in a childlike script. My heart hurt with confusion. Could it be some kind of electronic glitch? Or was it a person trapped inside the building, controlling it by hacking? Part of me felt dread, but another part couldn't help feeling sympathy, as if the message was truly from someone needing help. "All right," I whispered. "Tell me what to do." The letters blinked off, then on again, rearranging so fast I couldn't read them. Finally, they formed "inside." My pulse raced. Inside the rest stop building? That's what made me uneasy from the start. Shadows and a figure that might have been lurking. Why would I return there? But the word "help" pulsed again, then "inside." I battled with my instincts. I pictured calling for help, but my phone had no signal. If someone was in there, they might be injured or dangerous. Or it could be a trap. My fear and empathy warred in my mind. In a burst of courage, I opened the trunk of my car and grabbed the small tire iron I kept for emergencies. With at least some form of self-defense, I walked slowly back to the rest area building. The metal door squeaked when I pulled it open. My phone's flashlight cut through the darkness, revealing the same dull space. The restroom doors were still shut. The air smelled the same, chemical cleaners and stale dryness. With each step, my sneakers squeaked on the floor. I paused near the men's room. A faint noise like dripping water came from inside. This time, I pushed the door open. It swung in, revealing emptiness. Dim light glimmered on a row of sinks. No sign of a person. I was about to pivot around when I heard a soft moan from a dark corner. My heart pounded out of my chest. I focused my phone's beam in that direction. Kneeling behind a half wall, I saw a figure breathing unevenly. It was an older man in a dusty jacket, hair matted with sweat. He opened his eyes only halfway, letting out another soft moan. He looked disoriented, maybe hurt. I quickly knelt next to him, trying to keep the tire iron steady in one hand. "Are you okay?" I asked. He lifted a trembling hand as if to shield his face from the light. I've been here," he muttered, voice cracked. He coughed, then tried to speak again. "Car broke down 2 days ago, no phone signal." My mind reeled. Had he been stranded all this time? He must have collapsed from hunger or dehydration. "Hold on," I whispered. "I'll help you get outside to my car. We can drive to the nearest hospital or at least get you some water." He nodded weakly, relief flashing in his eyes. Gently, I helped him stand, hooking his arm over my shoulder. He was lighter than I expected, like exhaustion had drained him. Step by shaky step, we made our way into the hallway, then out into the night air. At first, I led him to the bench near the vending machine, letting him sit while I rushed to my car for a water bottle. As I returned, I noticed the screen on the vending machine was dark. No flickering letters, no beeping, just a lifeless blank display. A spasm of confusion struck me, but I had to focus on the man. He gulped the water greedily, murmuring thanks. "I tried to walk for help," he said after a moment. "But it's so empty out here." Collapsed near the road, crawled back to the restrooms for shade. "If you hadn't come." His voice trailed off, his eyes tearing up. We sat there, letting him hydrate. My heartbeat slowly returned to normal. A feeling of awe settled over me. That machine, if it hadn't signaled me, would I have even bothered to check the building again? Probably not, I would have driven off. Yet now, the machine appeared offline, as if it had never glowed in the first place. The overhead lamp had stopped flickering too. Everything looked plain and ordinary under the moonlight. Once the man seemed stable enough, we walked to my car. He sank into the passenger seat, closing his eyes with a pained sigh. I started the engine. A quick glance back at the vending machine revealed no sign of life, no mystic scramble of letters. Just a beat-up machine waiting for the next traveler. As I drove toward the highway, my headlights swept across it one last time. For a split second, I thought I saw a faint glimmer on the display. And, maybe? Or just a reflection? Then it was gone, and the machine disappeared from view as I merged back onto the empty road. Soon we found a small gas station about 10 miles up, where the man managed to call a friend for help and arrange a ride to the nearest medical center. Before parting ways, he gripped my hand, eyes shining with gratitude. "Thank you," he said, voice trembling. "I don't know how I'd have survived the night without you." I gave him a shaky smile, not sure how to explain the flickering machine. I just said, "I'm glad it worked out." He nodded, having no idea about my odd experience. When I climbed back into my car, I sat for a minute, collecting my thoughts. My phone suddenly buzzed with a signal again. A wave of normalcy returned. Yet my mind couldn't stop replaying those letters. ELLA, then help, then inside. Something out there had guided me to him. Or so I wanted to believe. Rationally, I knew it sounded crazy. But I couldn't escape the truth that if not for that bizarre, flickering display, I would have missed him entirely. It felt like a quiet nudge from forces I didn't understand. Continuing my journey, I sometimes glanced into the rearview mirror, half expecting to see a ghostly glow behind me on the horizon. But there was only the dark road and the occasional headlights of passing trucks. Eventually, my nerves settled enough that I could enjoy the radio's soft hum. Yet one thought lingered. That vending machine, that strange connection, might still be waiting for someone else to pass by, might still be trying to help in its own mysterious way. I never looked up the rest stop's history. Some part of me figured it was better not to pry. Maybe those old machines were wired into something that glitched out under the desert sky, or maybe the place had a history of travelers who needed help and never got it. If so, that restless energy might have found a way to ensure that one more life didn't slip away. Even though I couldn't prove any of it, I felt a mixture of wonder and dread whenever I remembered how my own name flickered on the display, as if it knew exactly whose attention it needed. In the days that followed, whenever people asked me about my trip, I'd mention picking up a stranded stranger at the rest stop, but I never told them the full story, especially the part about the letters. It felt too personal and too strange. Instead, I let it remain a quiet secret between me, the empty desert highway, and that old vending machine that flickered with a purpose. And every so often, when I drive late at night, I find myself glancing at empty rest stops with half a mind to pull in, just to see if another machine might blink at me with messages from beyond. But I never do. Some mysteries aren't meant to be revisited.